Hello everyone, I am Nikita Bhatt working as an assistant professor of psychology and a counselor in Gobindgarh Public College, Alor, Khanna. I am here to discuss with you about how is psychology important in our daily life. Whether you are a psychology or a non-psychology student who is thinking to opt for psychology in his bachelor's, this video will be very helpful for you to understand how this subject is important in order to understand yourself and others and help managing your life in a better way. So before starting, the takeaway from this video would be what is psychology, goals of psychology, role of a psychologist and importance of psychology in our daily life. What is psychology? Psychology is made out of two words, psyche meaning mind and logos meaning science, the study of human mind. But according to the scientific study, psychology is the study of human mind and its behavior, which means that psychology talks about the scientific study revolving around the mental processes like thoughts, thinking, perception, learning, motivation, intelligence, and how this impacts a human behavior. So, whatsoever mental processes we are into, could it be how we are thinking, how we are having our thought patterns, how we are reacting emotionally or physically, how we are able to behave in that particular situation is what psychology is all about. बिकॉज अ ह्यूमन माइंड कैन नॉट बी सीन. हम अपने ह्यूमन माइंड को या किसी के भी ह्यूमन माइंड को हम देख नहीं सकते हैं कि वो क्या सोच रहे हैं, वो कैसे सोच रहे हैं, वो क्यों सोच रहे हैं, वॉट इज गोइंग ऑन इन देयर माइंड. बट द ओनली वे to read or to understand the mind or the psyche of an individual is through the behavior of that individual. As mental processes are subjective in nature, while human behavior is physical in nature, where we can see it is objectified that how an individual's behavior is sum total of how we can predict that individual. So, let me explain this with an example through the goals of psychology. The first one is to describe. कोई भी situation है. For example, a person is sad. Why he is sad, we will describe that situation, what happened around that situation, around that individual, due to which he is sad. So to describe is to describing a person whose mental processes are into his behavior. Second one is to explain. Now we know that individual is sad. We gonna describe that situation through the explanation of the why behind that individual's sadness. The third is to predict. To, to predict is the future, that if the same situation arise, there would be tendency to reflect the similar behavior by that individual. When we described and explained about the situation and the why behind the reason of that sadness, we gonna predict that if the similar situation or the similar pattern happen through the external motive or to the external factors, so the similar situation have the tendency to arise. ऐसे ही इंसान फिर से अपसेट होएगा, ऐसे इंसान को फिर से सैडनेस होएगी and the similar emotions will get arise. So now, when we know about the description, the explanation, and the prediction that this can get or impact in the future, the fourth one is to change. To change so that the similar pattern should not follow and we could stop that pattern of psyche. To change is the same behavior or the process in which an individual is going through, to change it in a positive side or in a positive direction. It is basically converting a negative situation to the positive state of that individual by working on the root cause. Now, when we know the why, how, where, and what behind the reason of that situation, we have the tendency, we have the power to change it from negative to positive by working on the root cause. Being a psychologist or a psychology student, one can able to achieve the goals of psychology through these steps. A role of a psychologist or a counselor is to examine a relationship between the brain's function and behavior with environment and applying the understanding to improve the world around us. The goals of a psychologist to describe, to explain, to predict and to change. These are the roles that a psychologist plays and which are very helpful for the advancement and to the world to make it a better place around us. Psychology plays an important role in our daily life. It helps in improving communication skills, building relationships, enriching careers, instills self confidence, and it helps in gain insight into people's life. So, talking about improving communication skills, psychology helps in a huge way in order to communicate in a better way. Psychology makes it easier to understand how human thinks and behave while communicating with others. Basically, how we understand ourselves, how aware we are mentally about ourselves is how we gonna communicate and how we gonna deliver our personality to other individual. Building relationships. When we have that maturity, that sense of maturity, the understanding of our own selves, we are able to maintain relationship with ourselves. It will also gonna reflect on the relationships that we are maintaining with the people around us. Enriching careers. It helps us in establishing the good career in terms of how we are as an individual and how clear our goals are in order to work upon. Instill self confidence. It helps understanding the triggering points or the weak areas in order to work on ourselves and improvising our weak points into the strength. One can gain insight into people's behavior because basically अगर हम खुद के बारे में इतना अच्छे से समझ पा रहे हैं, महसूस कर पा रहे हैं हम क्या हैं, हम कैसे सोच रहे हैं, हमारे जो भी थॉट प्रोसेसेस हैं वो हमारे बिहेवियर के ऊपर कैसे रिफ्लेक्ट कर रहे हैं, अगर हमें खुद की इतनी ज़्यादा अवेयरनेस एंड पावर आ जाती है हमें खुद को समझने की, सिमिलरली हम दूसरों को भी उतनी ही गहराई तक समझ पाते हैं जितनी गहराई तक हमने खुद को समझ रखा होता है. It not only just helps us to understand ourselves but also understand what people are going through and how situations are going on in the life of the other individual and what they are going through and how they can manage their life through not only just advising them but just helping out to reflect what they are going through and how they can manage themselves. Emotional intelligence is basically the ability to understand one's emotion and managing one's emotion in an effective way and as well as others. Emotional intelligence is very important in psychological terms. Psychologically, one needs to be emotional intelligence where one can effectively manage their emotions and understand the emotions of the other individual. With emotional intelligence, one can manage themselves by self management. Self management in terms of emotions, where one can able to manage their emotions in healthy way and adapt in the changing environment or in the changing circumstances. Self regulation. It is the skill we use on a day-to-day basis to manage our emotions, which basically helps us in directing towards the thoughtful actions. Third, self awareness. If we will be aware of our own self, we will be able to recognize and understand our emotions. That is, what we are going through and why we are going through that feeling and what that feeling is making us feel. Through feeling, we could be able to manage the reaction or the behavior in a particular situation. Motivation. Motivation is a key component in emotional intelligence. It is said that high emotional intelligence tend to be highly motivated. Keeping the goals in mind, one is able to achieve the responsibilities effectively. Social skills. Emotional intelligent person show respect towards the other's needs and understanding in order to express and identify their emotions. So with this, I would like to sum up my video with the fact that psychology plays a huge role in our everyday life. Psychology not only just helps us regulate our emotions, understand the motive, understand the thought patterns and the behavior that we are indulged into, but also the environment which plays a huge role into becoming what we are today and understanding the